next brilliant and final presenter is Dr. Kelly Winter. She's the branch chief of the Training and Workforce Development Branch in the Division of Laboratory Systems here at CDC. She earned both an MPH and a PhD in epidemiology and has more than 20 years of experience in communication, education, including over a decade in public health. Dr. Winter began her career at CDC in 2014 as a training specialist in the Division of Global Migration and Quarantine, better known as DGMQ, of the National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases. During the CDC's 2014-2015 Ebola emergency response, she led entry, screening, and self-monitoring for travelers training at the U.S. airports. From 2015 to 2018, she worked in DGMQ's Travelers Health Branch, creating training and communication materials and serving as the managing editor for the CDC Yellow Book. Our final presenter for today is Dr. Kelly Winter.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for that warm welcome. So before I get into the particulars around OneLab REACH, I thought it would be helpful if we started by level setting as to what the OneLab initiative is about. So I'm going to start by sharing a brief video that covers all of the OneLab elements, and then we'll dive specifically into OneLab REACH. And I want to encourage everyone, while you're attending this presentation, what I ask you be thinking about is what can we do to make OneLab REACH better? What features for OneLab as an initiative would you like to see? The more ideas that we get from those who we serve, which are the laboratory professionals of the U.S. and those who conduct testing at non-laboratory settings, the more we hear from you, the better that we can make all that we offer through OneLab REACH. And so bear with me 1 second, because I'm going to make sure that I'm sharing my sound as well, hopefully. All right. If I could get a thumbs up from someone if you're able to hear the sound.
Welcome to OneLab, CDC's initiative to bridge, train, and sustain a capacity building community among public health and clinical laboratory professionals to support rapid, large-scale responses to public health emergencies. OneLab has 7 elements that work together to establish a unified response to training needs. OneLab REACH is a customized learning management system for laboratory professionals and the testing community. OneLab REACH offers free e-learning and virtual reality courses, printable and video job aids, and continuing education credit, including P.A.C.E. OneLab REACH provides training resources that cover essential topics, including preparedness, quality, safety, core science, and informatics. OneLab provides 2 communities of practice, OneLab Network and OneLab Test, that offer training, resources, and opportunities to engage directly with laboratory and testing professionals. OneLab Network is a collaborative community of clinical and public health laboratory professionals, while OneLab Test is another collaborative community for personnel who perform or coordinate testing in non-laboratory settings. When you join OneLab Network or OneLab Test, you can access CDC-developed resources, attend webinars led by subject matter experts, and be part of a community of practice where you can learn from others in your field. OneLab also hosts OneLab Summit, a free 3-day virtual event that connects laboratory professionals in real time to support a unified response to laboratory training needs. OneLab Summit includes interactive experiences designed to help attendees increase their knowledge of laboratory training development tools and practices. The collaborative environment facilitates valuable peer-to-peer connections within and across the laboratory education, training, and testing community. OneLab has resources for everyone in the OneLab community, including toolkits, job aids, and trainings. You can find it all on OneLab REACH. The newest OneLab element is OneLab VR, a multiplayer virtual reality environment where you can take on-demand VR trainings or use the space to deliver live trainings to your own staff. OneLab VR empowers laboratory professionals to apply, assess, and improve their skills in a safe and controlled learning environment. All the work of OneLab is rooted in regular assessments of its members to ensure that OneLab provides the training and resources you and your peers need. Visit reach.cdc.gov to join OneLab today.
All right, so now that we all hopefully have a little bit of a baseline understanding of what OneLab REACH is about, we can dive into the specifics of the website. And so I thought I would start by explaining what REACH stands for, even though we rarely use the long form of the acronym. So REACH stands for Rapid Education and Capacity Building Hub. The day-to-day, we just affectionately call it OneLab REACH. So this site was really intended to serve as a one-stop shop for all online free training for laboratory professionals and testers created by CDC. So we've heard from you, our target audience, for years that you wanted to just have one concrete place so you could come and find everything that we offer quickly and easily without having to weed through courses on other important topics that aren't important to what you do day to day. And so that's what we created or have started to create here. And so this was an idea that was hatched well before the pandemic. It was something that we had long been interested in doing and had the idea for, but we did not have the resources and the bandwidth to tackle it until the emergency response to COVID-19, at which point we were provided with a little bit of funding, seed funding, to explore whether this was something that was viable. And then from there, luckily, we got some American Rescue Plan funding that allowed us to make this a reality. And so I'm going to walk you through each piece of it, but I thought that it also would be helpful to talk a little bit about our rationale or our approach for how we've rolled this out. So with OneLab REACH, we really took what we call a minimum viable product approach. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with MVP. It's certainly not a concept that we at OneLab invented. It's very popular in the tech sector and in the private sector in general. But for those who aren't familiar, the short version of what MVP means is that one really embraces the idea of perfect is the enemy of the good. So instead of worrying about the ideal state that you want your product or service to be in long term, you think instead about what are the minimum features that we need to be able to roll this out and start getting feedback from the people who want to use it. And so while we started with several pages of features that we had in mind of, oh, it would be great to have this and that bell and whistle, our priority, particularly since we were in the midst of the pandemic, was to get this site up as quickly as possible. And so from start to finish, it took us about a year to build it, develop it, and then do what we called a soft launch. So in summer of 2022, we released this to the public without any kind of fanfare. We wanted to get it out there and have people kind of happen upon it, start trying it out, trying to break it, etc., so that we could get some feedback. And then we've slowly been adding more and more features based on feedback from you, from the members of OneLab. And so I am thrilled to announce that as of April 1st, we now have 22,635 REACH members. This is kind of wild to think about because we started this in summer of 22, as I said, with no promotional activities on purpose. And so we've really only been promoting the site since January of 23 and making sure our partners were aware of it. And I also want to give a huge thank you to ASCP, ASCLS, APHL, University of Maryland, Baltimore, and New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene for all that they've done through our cooperative agreements to help spread the word about OneLab REACH. So I want to walk you through each piece of it, have you thinking about what else you'd like to see. I'm going to walk you through what's there now, some of the features that we have in mind, but then also kind of plant a seed to hear from you all during the Q&A portion, other features that you might have in mind that perhaps we've never thought about. So I'm going to take things out of order a little bit and start with the About Us page. And so what I did is pull all these up ahead of time, so hopefully cut down on the motion sickness aspect of this, so I'm not scrolling too much. So on our About Us page, this is a great place to just learn more about CDC OneLab in general, the initiative, when it started, our approach to it. our now famous rainbow graphic, as we call it, that describes all the various elements of OneLab. Each of these is clickable. So if you were to click on any of the icons, you would get to a subpage specifically about that element. But to save you some time, we also left room for all of the elements here on the About Us page. So there's a short synopsis of all 7 elements there on the About Us page. And then at the very bottom, we have our email address. We truly do want to hear from those who are members of OneLab or those who are interested in joining OneLab. Any kind of idea. We may not be able to act immediately on what you suggest, but it really does help inform our thinking about our priorities. So next we have the help page. So this is hopefully very helpful. One would like for a help page to be helpful. Our approach here was to make sure that all of the questions you might most commonly ask, we had answers to readily available. So you don't have to wait for a reply to us on questions like, how do I reset my password? You can just hit the help button and open up the answer, see what's there. If you do encounter a particularly strange technical glitch that isn't covered in these FAQ, that's when you would hit the submit a support ticket button, and that would kick you over to this page where you could tell us a little bit about that issue, categorize it, and if you like, show us a screenshot of what you're experiencing to help us get you some support as quickly as possible. But again, I'll give a big plug to this FAQ because that'll save you a lot of time in getting the answers you need quickly. It's probably also important for me to note that I am logged in as a user right now. Toward the end of this presentation, I will show you how to sign up, but I thought it was better for us to convince you of why you would want a OneLab REACH account before we show you how you would sign up. So this view is the view from once you've logged in with an account. So now I'm on the My Learner Hub page. So this is the main page from the REACH site. This is the main page you would reach there. And so once you get to this, this is your true one-stop shop for what courses you're already working on, how far along you are in taking those courses. You can quickly just jump back in and resume a course that you've started. It's also where you can find your favorited courses. So if you've saved a course for later and not started it, this is where those are saved. It's also where if you have P.A.C.E certificates, they would be available to you there. And finally, where you would have any of the job aids that you have favorited. And I will point out, because I'm sure y'all noticed, there is a sneak peek to a mini lesson that's coming because I'm clearing that. So y'all wouldn't be able to reach that yet, but it is coming. So talk about sneak peek. How's that? So next we have our training page. So this is a perfect place to come if you know that you want to take an e-learning course and you're already knowing that that's what you're here to do. You can jump straight to this training page. And at the top, you have some of our most popular courses and our newest ones in a carousel in case you just don't have in mind what you in particular are interested in taking. If you are a little more specific in what you need, you can scroll down and come down to all of our courses. So the default view is all of our courses like this. But if you'd like, you can separate this and say, you know what, I'm only interested in safety today. So I click on safety and it kicks me right down to the safety courses. And then if I change my mind, I can always click on another one. And you can see here, once you're logged in, that it's quite easy to favorite. So you can go down, find one that you haven't favorited yet and add it to your favorites. And then if you're like, you know what, JK, I'm not interested in that anymore, you can just quickly unfavorite it as well. And all that information is stored in your My Learner Hub, so you have that readily available. So let's pretend that I am interested in taking a course. I want to just give you a sneak peek of a course view. So we'll say that I'm interested in taking packing and shipping. If I were to click on that, I would come to the home page for that course. And I could easily see that I've already favorited it. Again, I could remove that favorite from this page if I would like to. I can see how much CE is offered for the course. I can launch it. If I'm still not sold yet on whether I want to take it, I can come down here and look at the learning objectives, read more about it. And one of the things we hope at least is most helpful to you is we've started mapping all the job aids from our individual courses here on the course page. So say I already took this packing and shipping course a couple of months ago, and I thought to myself, there was a job aid in that course that I really found helpful. I don't want to go back through the pre-test and go back and take the whole course again and the whole nine. This would be one option for me to quickly find all of those job aids. The job aids are also cross-posted on our job aids page that I'm about to show you, but that's the sort of feature where we're constantly trying to think about how can we make things more user-friendly? How can we make it more useful to you, the laboratory professionals and testers of the US? So we really want to hear from you. Is this helpful? Are there other things that would be more helpful, etc.? So from here, we go to the job aids page. And I will note that on that training page, you can view it if you don't have an account, but you can't take any of the courses. That's because obviously you need a log on to tie your scores and your certificates to. But this job aids page is fully functional even before you create a log on. Now, you won't be able to favorite anything, obviously, or save things to your library, but you would be able to download any of these job aids or view them as you need to. And so at the top, again, we have our most popular and newest job aids. I will note we have over 100 job aids, so there's a lot to choose from here. And so past that carousel, if you keep going down, you can decide to view in terms of what topic you're interested in or what format. So say I only want to view Spanish job aids, I can click here and it will push me down to the job aid, the Spanish job aids portion of the page. Similarly, if I'm interested in the video library only, I can view every single video that we have available right there. But let's say instead I'm interested in just generally the topic of preparedness. I would click here on preparedness. It would push me down to that section. Then I could expand all and view all of the preparedness job aids that are available. And hopefully this may already be apparent to you, but in case it isn't, the reason that we produce both a PDF and a Word version of all of our job aids that are printable is so that you have the option to customize that Word version specifically for your laboratory. And so that Word version is not branded. There's no logos on it. You can add the name of your lab. You can add contact info, anything else you need to do to make that useful for your lab. That version is available for you to do what you need. The PDF version is already optimized for printing. If you just need to grab that and go, that's there for you as well. And so for each topic, we have those printable job aids listed first, and then further down, we have the video ones. So I won't completely scroll. I'll try to use a little page down to keep this from being too overwhelming. So if we go to the video library, as I mentioned, we can go straight to all of the various videos we have. And we've noted that these seem to be more popular even than the printable job aids in some cases. And so would love to hear from you all if anyone's ever interested in just dropping us a line as to what it is about those videos that is so helpful. We do make sure that we think constructively about whether something needs to be a video versus something printable. So we really think about what are we trying to demonstrate in the video versus having something that we can produce a lot more quickly if it is printable. I will note that is one of the big differences is production time. So if we're doing a 1-pager or 2-pager, we can get that out and get that to our target audience a lot more quickly than we can a video. But we do recognize that all of those formats are important. And so as I noted, we have Spanish job aids. So right now we only have 2, but we are working on more Spanish job aids. That's something that we hope to expand in the future. One of the challenges right now is what to prioritize given, we only have finite resources, as you all know even more than we do, what that's like. And so the more we hear from you ad hoc, whether that's at a conference, whether you find Alicia after some event, whether it's that during a OneLab Network event you want to share, the more we hear from you ad hoc about what it is that you are interested in and what you need, the more we can respond to what we hear. And so with that, I'll go to the OneLab Network page. So this is our hub for all things related to the network. So anyone who is a laboratory professional is welcome to join this network. As of today, I am excited to say that we have 10,944 OneLab Network members representing, well, so Network and REACH combined, we have over 15,000 labs and professional organizations represented. It's pretty huge, pretty excited about that. And the more people who join, the more we have a representative sample of the needs of the laboratory community. So this OneLab Network page is your place to come to find which events are happening next. Right now, there is not a countdown to the next event because we are taking a break in April since we have the summit. But when we have our next event, likely in May, you will find the information on that on this page. It's also a great place to come to find information on past events. So if you missed one live, we welcome you to come back a couple of weeks after that event to find the slides and the video and the transcripts. So for example, if I had missed this managing burnout in a post-COVID-19 world OneLab Network event and I were interested in that, I would click it and that would take me to the page for that event where I can not only read about the event, read more about our speaker, but then access the media. So this is where I would get to the video, the transcript, and download the slides. And whenever possible, we do produce a low-res video as well in case you are in a setting where you have some internet challenges. So for every OneLab Network event, a few weeks after the event, you can come back and view all those materials and in case you missed it. Next, we have the page for OneLab Tests. So for those who aren't familiar, TEST does stand for Timely Education and Support of Testers. So this is our community of practice specifically for those who conduct testing in non-laboratory settings. Again, we welcome those with laboratory experience or those who work in laboratories to join this as well. But we are really seeking to reach, pardon the pun, those who do testing in those non-laboratory settings. And as the months and years go on, we're going to be creating even more resources specifically for those who don't have a laboratory background, but perform testing in those non-laboratory settings. So on this page, there are any of the OneLab events, whether they're network events or test events that are relevant to this audience are here, as well as some more information on tests in general, and then a lot of training materials, educational materials that are there and are relevant to the testing audience. So next we have the summit page. I think you might be familiar with that page since you're here, and we are so glad you are here. So after this, right after this session, anytime you want during this week and in the coming weeks, we do already have the virtual exhibit hall here. So really huge thanks to our partners, various laboratory organizations who chose to submit a poster. And, it's a great place to come learn about things like the fellowships and internships program that we collaborate with APHL on. You see here there are posters on everything from advanced molecular detection to some of our resources through OneLab that are available. And so we have these categorized for you to take a look at. And then once the summit is over, within a few weeks, give us some grace. It might take more towards a month, depending on how many hours of video footage we have to comb through. But after the summit, we will come back and update this agenda so that you'll be able to access the slides and the videos. And I will note at the very bottom of this page, you can access the previous summit and view the slides from those sessions. And then last, but certainly not least, we have our page on OneLab VR. So hopefully at least a few of you were able to join us during the session on OneLab VR and hear and see the demo of OneLab VR. But if not, this is a great page to come to learn more about it. You can also read more about our rationale for why and our goals for OneLab VR. You can view a little sneak peek video. And then after you get some more information there on what we've already done, you can get access to all the latest scenarios that are available in OneLab VR. And then toward the bottom of the page, we do have access to our long form virtual reality courses as well. So these are more in the hour to 2 hour range as far as how long they'll take you to complete them versus the scenarios, which are a little bit quicker to finish. But they all complement each other, and really excited to keep rolling out more scenarios as the months go by. And so now I'm going to flip over and talk a little bit about all the resources that are coming to OneLab REACH as far as trainings and events that are coming up. And give me 1 second to flip the script here. All right. For some reason, I decided to boot my screen share. That is fascinating. All right, take 2. We will see if it'll allow me to present now. If not, we'll do it in a more classic view. You know, we have to be creative sometimes about how we do this. It's going to make you guys small. All right. So I want to take you through a little bit of the upcoming information that is available. So we have some OneLab events planned for later this year, some network events. And I wanted to point out that one of the reasons why we don't go into more detail about what months these will be offered and whatnot well ahead of time is not because we don't have a calendar in mind, because we certainly do. It's because we want to make sure that we're as flexible as possible. If there are emerging topics that come up that are really timely, we need to be able to pivot and offer those topics as soon as you need them. And so I also want to make this a plug, shameless plug for if you have a topic that you think we need to cover, please feel free to put it in the chat today. Feel free to email us at OneLab at cdc.gov or to contact us in the weeks and months to come. We'd also love to hear from you if you're interested in being a speaker at one of those events. And so for future months for 2024, we are planning to have OneLab network events on Laboratory Response Network, or LRN, biorisk management, updates on our CLIA resource, training resources that are available, as well as OneLab network event around laboratory testing for respiratory viruses. So then let's dive a little bit into our e-learning courses. So we're actually working on 14 different e-learning courses right now, which is a lot. Not all of them will come out in 2024, but we think that about 7 of them will. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, I'll say again that our courses are typically about 45 minutes to 1 hour. They're self-paced online courses, and these are a great way to get familiar or to become familiar with a topic if you have no background knowledge. And we do note the ones that are for those who already have some knowledge on a topic, but a lot of them are very introductory on purpose so that you can then progress to doing things like practicing in VR. And so among the e-learning courses that we expect will come out this year are courses on bloodborne pathogens, a couple of CLIA courses on proficiency testing and personnel qualifications. We're going to turn our Public Health Laboratory 101 webinar into an e-learning course. We're also going to have a course on fundamentals of quality management systems, basic culture media, and my favorite to pronounce, occupational exposure to formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde. Not a laboratory professional here. Training and education, SME, not laboratory professional. So I love saying formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde. We also have training of trainers program that we are continuing, and we've heard really great feedback on this. For those who aren't familiar, this is our approach to really building capacity within the laboratories of the U.S. by training you in the field to train your staff. And so sometimes we offer very topic-specific training of trainers courses on things like packing and shipping. Right now, we are focusing on quarterly webinars for those who have already completed our packing and shipping TOT, as well as people who have completed our creating next level training TOT. And so we are going to be offering more opportunities to join and start that next level training TOT. So this is, how meta is this? A training on how to train in general, but it's something that we felt was really important and something that we wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable, everything from how to present more effectively, how to structure a presentation, to things like building learning objectives, so that you really can design your trainings with a goal in mind and see more movement as far as knowledge gain. And so for 2025, we have even more e-learning courses coming up. So you see there's about a half dozen here. And so risk assessment, that will be the follow-up to our intro to laboratory risk management course that's already available, both of which are part of our risk management curriculum that we're rolling out piece by piece. We also are going to have a new course on organism-specific rule out or referrer, as well as courses on antimicrobial susceptibility testing and another CLIA personnel qualifications course. We are revising our COOP course, or continuity of operations, to make that a little bit more interactive. And then we're also revamping our packing and shipping course for next year. And then we'll be continuing to offer TOTs, specifically on next level training, this time as a blended learning option. So instead of the entire course being live, there will be pieces that are essentially a flipped classroom where you do some self-paced learning and then come back and have those opportunities to interact live with your peers and with the trainers. So when it comes to job aids in 2024, you can see we have well over a dozen of those planned. I won't read the names of all the specific job aids, but I'll note that we have 4 on point of care testing coming out. We have 4 more on diagnostic stewardship, and then we have 6 on laboratory safety. So all of those will be rolling out throughout the year on OneLab REACH. The ones that are denoted with an asterisk, so safe work practices and waste disposal, will be interactive job aids. So this is another way that we're trying to go back and look at new formats that might be more effective for specific topics. So once those roll out, we'd love to hear from you on whether those are helpful or they're not. Any feedback is helpful to us, whether it's, hey, this format is really not what we need. What we need is X, Y, or Z, or keep doing more of this. We really want to hear from you what you need. And then in 2025, we'll have another interactive job aid coming out. So this is taking our laboratory onboarding toolkit and making that into an interactive workbook, as well as an interactive job aid on blood and body fluids and a packing and shipping toolkit. And then for 2024 for VR, as hopefully you already know, there's already the tutorial out, as well as scenarios on packing and shipping of dangerous goods and centrifuge. But we're also working on autoclave and microfuge scenarios that will probably be rolling out later in the year. We try to do 1 scenario per quarter, typically. And I'll put in another shameless plug for why it's important to join OneLab REACH and to sign up for updates, because you'll find out all about all of these things as soon as they are released if you join. So for OneLab VR 2025 and beyond, there are a ton of different topics that we have in mind for scenarios, a bunch related to biosafety cabinet, as well as freezer maintenance, compressed gases, specimen handling, and biohazard liquid spills. We are also working really hard on how we will launch our multiplayer live virtual reality. We know that that's something, or at least from what we've heard, that is very much of interest to you all, which is the ability to conduct live site-specific training in OneLab VR. And so we're really trying to make sure that we do it right, roll it out thoughtfully, as far as making sure that we have some materials available on how to approach training live in VR, since that will be new for essentially all of us. But really encourage you to go ahead and get in OneLab VR and explore, whether you complete a scenario or you just walk around in the space, the virtual space, just to get a sense of it. Really love to hear from you all when you have topics to recommend. And the more of that we hear, the more we can prioritize and shift and adjust what we already have in mind. And so I'll wrap up the slide portion by noting that as far as OneLab REACH, as I mentioned, we really want to do what we can to keep building from that minimum viable product to something that's much more refined, so that we can make the site just more and more engaging, more useful to you. And so we have a new survey rolling out for those who are new to REACH and haven't joined yet. We've tweaked the questions a little bit that we ask when people join, and we'll be looking into other ways to gather information on your training needs throughout your time on OneLab REACH. We are also excited to say that we are working on developing customized learning paths, so that, for instance, when we start to roll out our lab director in university, In 2025, we'll have the ability for people to progress through all those courses without having to go looking for all of them. So we'd love to hear from you all if you have other ideas on specific learning paths that you'd like to see long term. We're also going to be conducting some user experience focus groups and key informant interviews with members from OneLab. So that'll be something on the docket for later this year or early 2025. We're having even more outreach and growth campaigns to bring in more members, but I will note one of the most useful things that we found is just word of mouth from current OneLab members, getting their friends and colleagues involved. So anyone here who's already a member of any aspect of OneLab, please make sure you tell your peers if you find it helpful. We also plan to implement auto-generated course recommendations. So this would be essentially like what you see on video streaming sites like Netflix or Prime Video, where because you watched one video, they recommend another one to you. So this would be you finish one course and it would say, hey, if you enjoyed that course, think about taking one of these other courses. We're also planning to roll out the ability for you to rate courses with a star rating so that you can recommend to your peers, this is a useful course, or this one wasn't as useful as other courses. So that ability for you to just quickly give your star rating is coming probably late in 2024 or early in 2025. And then as always, we'll be continuing to roll out even more courses, job aids, and other resources to meet your training needs. So the more ad hoc information we hear from you on what it is you need, the more we can respond to that. And so with that, I'm going to show quickly a little demo of how one signs up for an account on OneLab. And this is silent. This will be narrated by yours truly. I just wanted to have it here and handy and ready to go so we didn't have to try to do this live. So from the main page, you just go to sign up if you're logged out, and then you'll fill in all of your contact information. And luckily, you only have to do this once. We tried to make it.
We're still seeing your Reach screen, the future of OneLab REACH. Yep.
I love it when Share decides to do what it wants to do. I'm so glad you said something, Lynch. All right, so let us try this again. Let me see if I can back up this video real fast. Fun with technical difficulties. There we go. All right. So from the main page, you just click sign up now. And with that, you can put in your contact information. Luckily, as I said, you only have to do this once. So thank you, Francisco, for doing this ahead of time for us so that we'd have it available. And so this only takes a couple of minutes. We try to make this as short as possible. Obviously, you got to put in a strong password and put it in twice and all that good stuff. And I'll note again, this is free to do. Everything that we offer is free and available to the public. So once your passwords match, then you'll just go down, and this is where you can opt in. So you have the opportunity to read a little bit around OneLab Network, the Summit, tests, etc., and opt in to which portions you do or do not want to join. So the default is opt out. So make sure you check yes or move the button over to yes for the ones that you're interested in. And then you have to prove that you're a human. And then you'll just hit create a new account. So it's as easy as that. Once you have done that, you do have to complete a quick anonymous demographic survey. This is anonymous, but it really helps us know more about our audience. And then you agree to the terms. And then this is just showing you one of the emails you would get as and I'll back that up because that was really fast. I apologize, y'all. So this is just an example of an email that you would get. So if you opt into OneLab Network while you're joining OneLab REACH, then when that Managing Burnout OneLab Network event was upcoming, you would get an email about it. And so that is the reason why it's important to join. And the more we have a sense of how many people are joining OneLab Network, the more we can point out how useful it is and that there are resources needed. And so with that, I'm ready for Q&A whenever you are, Alicia.
Absolutely. Let's see. We have a question here. We only have one right now. Will the Laboratory Director University provide the 20 Laboratory Director CE that will be required when the updated CLIA personnel regulations are effective in December?
Yes, absolutely. So the lab director university will have at least 20 hours of CME to meet that requirement. I will manage expectations and say that we won't have all 20 hours of that rolled out in 2025. It's in development now with our partners from Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services. So we expect to start rolling out those courses in 2025, but it'll likely be 2026 before we have them all out. But it will be free and everything will be there together online on Reach.
Well, you just answered the next question because they want to know if it would be free.
Yes, everything, for those who aren't aware, anything that is developed by a federal organization has to be free, which is awesome. And so it'll all be free and available there to you on OneLab REACH.
Do we have any other questions?
It can be ideas, it can be anything of that nature.
Well, if you have any questions after today, please email the OneLab inbox at onelab@cdc.gov. Thanks, Kelly, for the great presentation. I'll turn it over to Blanche to provide day 2 wrap up and preview for day 3.